You're watching Swipe. Coming up on this week's show,
we meet Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak and the young entrepreneurs hoping to follow in his footsteps. Meanwhile, I sit down with a scientist touted as doing for health what Apple did for computers. And we've got a game you will enjoy. Well, our reviewer says you will anyway.
welcome to Swipe from Business Rocks in Manchester, a tech summit with startups pitching their ideas surrounded by influential names. The organisers here say they want it to be technology's answer to the Glastonbury Festival. Well, if it was, it'd certainly have a good headline act. Steve Wozniak, the Apple co-founder, is here, and our technology correspondent Tom Cheshire has been speaking to him.
Apple has resisted the FBI's calls to build software to get into the phone, but it's also resisted calls to unlock phones it does have access to. Where do you draw the line between protecting people's privacy, but also protecting citizens and helping the government that's been elected to protect them?
Apple's doing about all it can. Apple doesn't have a switch they can turn on and release the data. It was recently released at something like 3,000 to 5,000 cases. Apple turned over data when they can get data that way. To rewrite the software that makes a phone a good product and keeps its data secure. You know what? The police are interested in communications anyway, trying to track down who's talking to whom and what are they saying. That's all done in the communications companies, and the FBI already has all its backdoors into Verizon and AT&T, and they've got every single bit of that anyway. So encryption, just to protect my data, my personal codes, my finances, my photographs, and things that are important to me in the phone. Apple promised that. That's a good thing to do. What if the FBI could come into any company and say, we now have to force you have to make your product insecure for us. Why would you build a product that's insecure? That's doing a very bad thing in computer terms.
We've had a lot in the papers about taxes recently. There are a lot of people who are angry that corporations, including Apple, don't pay that much tax. Do you think Apple pays enough tax?
So I feel very sorry for people that have psychological problems and have to get angry about something that's always existed, that we've always known, that wealthy parties and companies have all these offshore places to hide money. It's always existed.
So that doesn't make it right, though. Just as it's always existed.
No. It's not right, and we should say that it's wrong. And but why should we get upset about a new recent one? Every one that comes up. I mean, we are the ones who are we're in a democracy. We voters have control over our congresspeople who write the laws that make it possible or not.
I mean, just because it's the case doesn't mean that it's right. Should Apple pay more tax?
There's financial people, and their motivations are only to find the last little penny that they can get by any trickery, to read legal documents and find escapes and loopholes and search for friendly governments, basically to do what a wealthy person does to try to hide their wealth and disguise it and get it out of away from taxes. Yeah, same thing. But they're paid to do that, and you can't blame them because every single company in the world would do it. And Apple isn't run by a few ethical people. It's run by millions of shareholders. You might have some Apple stock. You're the one who wants them to make the profit.
There's no shortage of people hoping to follow in Steve's footsteps. Angela's been looking at his influence on some of the young entrepreneurs here today.
This is 15-year-old Brandon Ralph. He started a company which stemmed from his love of gaming, and he's already achieved his goal of making £10,000 from it before his 16th birthday.
We own a Minecraft design team where I basically get commissioned by companies to build stuff in Minecraft. For those of you that don't know, Minecraft is like virtual Lego, and our work is used in marketing and in charity work and in education.
And after the clients come on, he just has the 50% remaining to pay.
Brandon spends a few hours a night on his business in between doing his homework. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak started his business in a garage alongside his friend Steve Jobs, building what went on to become the world's most iconic computer brand. Brandon hopes to follow in his footsteps.
Brandon's not the only one looking for further success. More than 20,000 startups have launched in Britain so far this year, and more than 100 of them are here today, taking in the words of Steve Wozniak, looking for inspiration and for someone to further invest in their ideas.
17-year-old Ben Towers is another young success story. He started a digital media agency when he was just 11.
As a company, with our turnover, we've been hoping to aim at 600,000 this year. It still may exceed it. You know, it's quite an exciting opportunity. We're doing a lot of stuff trying to promote the company, promote what we do, because you tend to work with challenger brands. So companies who obviously want to compete and want new ideas and want innovative ways of working. And so it's really helping us as a company to move forward as well.
The Apple success story belongs to the two Steves, but these young entrepreneurs are writing their own. Angela Barnes, Sky News.
Now, before I sit down with one of the world's leading nanotechnology experts, here's a roundup of some of this week's other tech news.
This week's seen a greener way to charge your devices launch on Indiegogo. It's exactly what it looks like, a plant, but this one's got a clever pot that uses energy in the soil produced by photosynthesis to generate electricity. The makers of Bayou say the plant is not harmed in any way. Gearing up for exam season, an education tech startup's hoping you'll opt for a bit of help from what it's nicknamed the Uber for tutors. Spires has teachers from Oxford and Cambridge on its database and says it wants to provide affordable tutoring for students. One company's on a mission to revolutionise the surfboard industry. Moss Research has launched a funding campaign on Kickstarter to back its boards made of recycled and plant-based materials. And a team of 3 university students have launched an online donation platform trying to help non-mainstream charities raise funds. But Giver3 is a little different because it uses gamification techniques to do it. The aim is to make raising money more fun. Coming up in this week's Games Review, the title proving big in Japan.
Steve Wozniak might be the most famous name here today, but there are plenty of other influential figures from the worlds of science and technology. I've been lucky enough to sit down with one breakthrough inventor who's even been advising the Obama administration on nanotechnology, no less.
Now, Dr. Anita, when I was researching you, I found so many ways of describing you. Humanitarian, global entrepreneur, world-renowned biophysics expert. But how do you like to be best described?
Well, I'm a physicist and medical doctor by training, and I love nanotechnology as a way of bringing the worlds of physics and medicine together.
Nanotechnology being the study of tiny, tiny things. Tell us what nanotechnology is.
Nanotechnology is really a science associated with learning how to control and study nature on very, very small scales, 10 to the minus 9 meters and smaller.
This on your lap here has been described as a real game changer. You and your company have developed this. Tell us how it works.
It's called Gene Radar.
Yeah.
And what it is a way to diagnose disease with a genetic signature, a DNA or RNA fingerprint, in real time with gold standard accuracy at a very affordable price. So what we're doing is we're creating apps for each key disease that we're going after. And each app is one disease context. We have a disposable chip, a reader, and an app. And that basically helps you diagnose those diseases like Ebola, Zika, HIV.
And would you want this to be in GP surgeries or hospitals?
Well, our initial thing is to partner with hospitals and doctors and clinics and put it in those places. But eventually, we see it as a consumer device that you could have in your own home, in rural, remote villages in the developing world, at airports.
And you've been advising President Obama's administration on nanotechnology and future health pandemics. What is it that we might need to worry about?
I've served on a number of nanotechnology boards that advise the current administration. And what I believe that nanotechnology represents, it's supposed to be a $4.8 trillion industry in the next 5 years, but it's mostly sitting in academic labs. In order to change the world, it's not enough for me to create the technologies in our lab. We have to kind of go out into the lab called Planet Earth to get the entire human experience, get people engaged with these technologies so they can help us figure out all the different ways in which the healthcare experience can be changed.
Time for this week's video games review now. Here's Chris.
So, Ratchet and Clank is a reboot of a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era game, and it's also going to be a film which is coming out. So this game's got quite a lot going on pushed right into it. Not only has it got the expectations of people who love the old series, it's got all the people that are making the new film being like, please make the game good. And it is. That's the fun part of it. It's really good. It's a really lovely, friendly, sort of Technicolor, joyful game.
Incoming dropship detected.
You will enjoy this. And some people have said the story's a bit simplistic, but it's the characters that you're here for. And the characters are really fun. Speaks well to the film being really fun as well in the future, but who knows. For now, though, Ratchet and Clank, a lot of fun. Yokai Watch is a game that's been taking Japan by storm for quite a while now. It's a game on the 3DS, it's a handheld game, and people have compared it a lot to Pokemon, but really kind of the main comparison is just how huge this thing has got in Japan. The main thing about this game, you go around, you've got your yokai watch. So the watch finds the yokai. You find them, you solve whatever their problem is, and then they can become your friend who can help you out to find other yokai and help them out. If you're an adult, it's not the most challenging game in the world. You can kind of just sit there and let it do its own thing, but it's the world that kind of kept me there. It's a really nice, relaxing world. So if you're in your commute in the morning, it's nice to just sit there and just be like, just relax and ride around your little bike and look around and talk to little spirits and stuff. It's nice.
Star Fox, do you read me?
The Star Fox series was something that completely wowed people back on the Super Nintendo. It was a ton of fun on the Nintendo 64, and it kind of wasn't so good on the GameCube, because rather than being a more traditional game where you flew around in a spaceship and shot stuff and hung out with your friends in space, it was sort of a 3D platformery thing with talking dinosaurs in a made-up language. Nobody wanted that. It's really fun. If you spent your childhood sat cross-legged in front of a Star Fox game or a Lilac Wars or whatever they called them back then, you'll love this. It has exactly the same feel, so you can sit on the sofa now, because you probably get pins and needles in your legs. I know I do. But it's a ton of fun. You'll enjoy it.
Well, that's it from us here at Business Rocks. Time we went back to London. Take a look at Sky News on mobile, tablet, catch-up and Sky Q for all the latest tech stories throughout the week. And you can see that Steve Wozniak interview in full. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.